I want us to talk about as well is your health, even in all of this, maintaining your health, your physical and mental health. Yeah, I see Paula delighted. All right, go ahead, please tell us
I
something
think that is
about
the biggest mistake from all the students that I know. I think actually most of the internationals have to overcome this harder because sometimes um, the food wouldn't be as good as they want in their countries. Well, sorry, let me rephrase it. Well,
it's okay. It's already on camera.
it won't be to their
To their liking, yeah.
We're used to certain tastes, and here it wouldn't taste as good, and then you start like not eating very well. Then with research, you realize sometimes you will have to run experiments that are long, and you will skip meals, and then you will think about an experiment and don't go to bed, like just relax. You will just thinking about that experiment, and then it creates this snowball effect in which you are not healthy, then you are not productive, but you are worried about being unproductive. So it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I think you should prioritize yourself always. You should be your first priority. If you're good, you can help yourself and help others
Yes.
too.
If you're not healthy, you can't do a good job.
Right.
You just cannot.
Right. I think it brings me, or at least a memory of how I struggle with, I guess, self-worth. And is at the beginning when you start, it's new to you, of course, and we briefly mentioned that. But then you're trying to prove yourself, you're trying to prove your advisor that you can do it. So you work really hard, and that's when things like what was saying are just going to occur. They're just going to happen because you're working so hard, you don't sleep well, you don't eat well, etc. So the intention is for you to understand that yes, maybe in the process you think that by working harder, then you're gonna be better. And maybe it pays off to some extent. Maybe he will see tons of results for a couple of weeks, and you think he'll be happy. But then, because you don't even have time to reflect on what you've done, then it just becomes a senseless act of work, right? So the intention is, okay, I understand that maybe at this point I'm doubting what I'm capable of. What can I do to change it? But there's still a line with the goals of the project and my own goals, and that takes time. That takes you to think inwards, be introspective, and it in many of the elements that cause or that can solve self-doubt are linked to introspection. From my perspective, is being able to recognize what's wrong, is being able to recognize when maybe I cannot handle it anymore by myself and I need to reach out for help, and is also looking inwards and saying, and I think Paula mentioned this briefly, is what I'm doing really aligned with what I see myself working on maybe into the future. And is an element that may cause self-doubt, not necessarily because you're not technically good, but because simply you don't love what you're doing, and it just transpires to everything that you do.
No, that's a good one. Because a lot of times we, maybe not everybody, but a few persons might not have the passion for what they're doing. So you need to check very well, do I have this passion? Do I love what I'm doing?
Right.
It's important to, sometimes I'll say, try to love it. And if you still cannot love it, yeah, maybe an alternative would be good.
Right. It's
But yeah, try to love it. If you still cannot love it, then I don't know.
I think the big problem of everyone, including me, is not focusing on the big picture, not only in research but in life, right? Sometimes we are driven by small, like, goals. We don't celebrate small
Yes.
goals,
Celebrating the small.
but we do focus on the immediate task and forgot to look at the big picture.
right. Yes.
So,
that's
what do I want to do in 10 years? Am I doing this PhD and I'm not enjoying it? Is it this PhD important for something that I want to do in the future? If yes, then just look at what you're doing and see if it fits what you want to do. If not, maybe you want to start looking at other options. I'm not saying quit. I'm just saying, like, I feel as a students, and I think I mentioned this before, but we are just so used to it by being assessed by others that we forgot to assess ourselves.
Yeah.
Am I enjoying this? Am I enjoying this environment that I'm working in? So that is one of the things that I think is important. The second thing that I think is related to what Jimmy mentioned is he said, take a step back. And that also means know when to take a day off. Sometimes when you hit a wall, it can be even because of an experiment, because you don't know what to do next. That happens very often in research. Or because you're feeling like you're not good enough. Just taking a step back and know that you can take a day off to rethink what you want to do next. It's like a combustion reaction. Just take some oxygen so that it's gonna flow, you know? Yeah.
It's not always about working hard,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you guys talked about that. Like sometimes just take a break.
Right.
It will help you work smarter.
Not sometimes. Try to do regularly. Because we sometimes think of like this experiment, and after this experiment I'll take, and then there will be a next experiment, and then there will be a next experiment,
And then you just go on and on.
Right.
and then you're tired.
Yeah, your efficiency is going down.
Right.
Right.
You're not working smarter.
Right.
Just working hard.
Right. And as you can tell from our conversation, I think just we start with self-doubt, but it intertwines with anxiety, maybe with depression in some cases, with burnt out eventually if we get to that point that you don't get time off. So what is key is that you also have to value what is good about this experience, and one of those elements from my perspective is that it's relatively flexible in terms that you don't have to go to work 9 to 5, right? That's a double-edged sword again, because you are in charge of maybe meeting a deadline in a month, so you decide how you distribute your tasks like in the entire month. So it's good if you're organized, but if you're not, then it's really, really bad. Yet, going back to the point that Paula mentioned, because it's so flexible, then you can prioritize yourself, and it complements very well with what Elijah said. And it's like, well, if I feel sick and I take a day off, then it's likely that I shouldn't feel guilty about it because I'm sick, right? And just use that opportunity.
Yes, don't feel guilty.
That, oh my
Don't-
God, guilty.
Yeah. Oh man, I know that thing. You feel
That
bad, like oh, I should be
feeling.
working. You say you don't even enjoy the break anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you don't
Even
enjoy.
when
the-
you're eating. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's supposed to be a day off, but your mind is not off. You feel like,
It's not.
oh, what am I doing? Why am I taking this break? You know,
Right.
I think COVID helped a lot
It did.
With
It
that.
did.
because you cannot be in the lab. Yeah.
Yeah, now you have to.
You have to.
But you know, I mean, that is very important what you, Elijah and Jimmy mentioned, because that takes us to a, you know, this balanced work life. I think balance is not really fair because sometimes it's not 50-50,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes you will have to give more to your work because it's
Yes,
necessary.
true.
So sometimes you will put more into the work, but you also need to have the capability to give more to the life, you know? So
Right,
many people
right,
do this and then forgot to,
Yes, true.
you
True.
see?
Yeah,
So
you're right.
it is harmonious. I think you have to create a structure to yourself. If you're doing a master or a PhD, you will have a lot of flexibility, but because of that, you can do what you are supposed to do at any time. And sometimes that means you will find random times at which you will work till from this time to midnight, more than 12 hours. Just again, look at the big picture. If you're in the lab 5 days a week, 7 days a week, it doesn't mean you're going to be more productive. You
Oh
need
my
to
God.
take time.
Louder, please. That,
Yeah.
that should
You
be
need to
stressed.
take time to sort of understand what are the results you're getting and then move forward. Look at your project as a consulting project. This is what I learned. This will be the next step. I think I wish I've known that for my first semesters. I was so focused on getting data, that I was not even investing time on reading
Understanding
papers.
the data too. You
Right.
know, spending time understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just get it maybe in some cases right before the meeting. They're presented, okay, Jimmy, so explain it. I'm like, yeah, let me think about it.
That happened very often.
Yeah. So, no, yeah, thank you. So, one more thing I want us to just talk about is seeking help. You know, in our conversation before this video, we said like that can be the rate limiting step, right? For those of us who don't know rate limiting, that's a chemist term or an environmental engineer's term. Rate limiting step is like the big hurdle, over a particular, moving from stage 1 to 2, or you know, or breaking faults. You know, it might be many steps involved, but there will be one step that is the big hurdle, such that once you overcome that, the others are just minor, you know.
Right.
So that's rate limiting step. So we're like, yeah, seeking help, seeking guidance can be the rate limiting step.
Absolutely. I think, as we were discussing earlier, finding people that can help you is going to be easy because there are resources for that. But you actually actively going out when you need it is what is going to be hard. And I think one of the elements that makes it harder, at least for me initially, is that people that would go, say, to a psychologist is because they were crazy, right? But from my background,
we had,
yes, from my background, like, only crazy people would seek
go
out for help.
therapy.
But it's not necessarily like that, and it doesn't mean that you're sick per se. It just means that you need someone to talk to. That's perfectly fine. There are resources for that, as Paula was saying. So recognizing the issue is first, and that's a great step if you're feeling that the self-doubt is not letting me work, it's not letting me grow. Next step is I cannot control it, then I need to seek help, and that's what we think could be a hurdle. However, one of the easy ways for me is to find precisely those people that can be that are loving, that just care about me.
So you don't even use therapy, right?
I haven't.
You haven't. Okay, so you use Paula.
For example, I would reach out to a friend.
I am great.
Yeah.
She's my therapist.
Oh, got it. Okay, so you use friends, right?
I would use friends.
That love you. You
Right.
know, people you can share with. You can cry on their shoulders. You can have conversations.
Right.
and-
But yeah, of course.
That's on the other side. On the technical side, I guess maybe colleagues, right? That
Right.
you can talk with.
Right. Sorry, I'm gonna say this real quick. One of the elements is I don't want to sound silly to somebody else who is maybe working with me, right? Maybe there is the expectation again that me being second, third year, I should know something, but I really don't have it clear. And then I'm gonna ask Elijah, and then maybe I'm concerned that Elijah.
You don't know this?
Yeah, exactly,
Just kidding.
exactly what I'm afraid of. So that's when you have to identify who is an ally, who's willing to help you rather than judge you.
Yeah, sometimes again, because we think we are being assessed by someone else all the time, you think that whatever you say might be wrong, right? But again, I think it's very important in grad school for you to understand this is a process. No one is asking you to be the person you want to be at the end of your master or PhD from day one. You have to be very careful about like really sinking this into your brain, because from day one you will be exposed to many people, to your advisor, to your lab mates, to your classmates, to other faculty, and all of them hopefully will be there for you to help you. I haven't, and I am very grateful for that. I haven't met someone that hasn't been willing to help, or I am not the right person. Maybe you want to talk to this person.
Direct you to the person who can help.
I think it is important because once you are brave enough to ask her for help, even if it's for your mental health, or even if it's for something more technical regarding to your research, or even in industry too. Knowing who to talk to is also very important. And to do that, you also have to stop that isolation from your work, because we are sometimes one person project, right? We have our advisor, but sometimes we feel like this is my project, this is something I have to solve by myself. That is not the case. I mean, when you look at papers, how many people are they?
Yes.
How many authors?
Yeah, rarely it's just one. And if it's one, sometimes it's just because it's a professor. But for PhD students, they have many co-authors, because you need to understand that collaboration is key. Is key in the academia, is key in industry. Like knowing how to work with others, ask for help, is important, because that can actually accelerate your growth. If you are self-doubting yourself and you are not looking for help either, you're gonna stay in that place that is not very helpful. So just know that there are many people and tools from universities, and of course identify what type of people you should look for. Sometimes there are people that might not be as helpful, but I know if you look for or to talk to other people, right? Because just being in your life is not going to help you professionally too. We talk about it.
Yes.
You have to experience.
You need to meet
network.
other people.
Right.
That's
important, because when you go outside, even if you want to be a professor or you want to be in industry, they don't want to be only they don't want to see only a scientist or a engineer.
True.
They want to see a
A
package.
complete person.
Right.
I'm going to work with you. Is all you do just work? Can we talk to?
Yeah.
Are you a person that likes collaboration? Because if you are self-centered, self-doubting yourself, self-everything, it's really hard for you to find ways to grow. And also understand that everyone like goes through it. That has happened to me. I don't know, guys. But
Of course.
I've been a mentor for other students, and they have also gone through these process. And I think it is important that you sort of understand that this is a process that everyone goes through, and there are people that can help you with. But the way you see yourself can only come from you, right?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's a lot.
Wow.
Paula just mentioned now. Yeah, and I think Paula just mentioned one thing: recognizing that everybody goes through it. So don't feel like you're stupid or all that kind of thing. Another thing that we've mentioned here is giving yourself some credit. Honestly, you deserve to be here. This is not cliche. This is not trying to make you happy. It's the truth. US will not hire you if you are not worth it. A lot of people apply to be here. That's the truth. You can ask your school the number of applicants they receive from all over the world. So if you're here, it's because you're good. Whatever challenges you are experiencing, it's just because it's a new environment, a new system, and it's common to all of us.
Right.
So yeah, don't feel bad about that.
Right. I think it starts from there to recognizing your value, to not let and this is just a quick recap. Don't let others trash on you. Basically, put trash on you. To know what battles to fight, right? And I think in all of those, at least 3 things that I mentioned, looking inwards, being introspective is key. To identify when things are wrong, and to know how to tackle it.
Yeah, and let me say that asking for help would require you to be vulnerable. So, and I think a lot of us, especially from our background, we are not trained to be vulnerable. We are trained to be self-sufficient. We're trained to just, I can do it on my own, all that kind of.
And if you don't do it, then you're bad.
Then you're bad. And then you begin to doubt yourself. Exactly. So, but here is a thing that would make you come out to say, oh, I need help. It will humble you.
Right.
So yeah, you need that humility.
Absolutely. Yes. It's hard to say maybe from the position of somebody who's not experienced it when you're experiencing it at this point, but know that to some degree we all have done it. But we do believe strongly that seeking out for help is key for you to be able to at least overcome when things are getting out of your control, right? And we say that because we know that doubting yourself lowers your self-esteem, and as Paula mentioned, it just snowballs to affect every single aspect of your life. And it's better to tackle things early on than when they have developed sufficiently. And know that many of these resources that Paula referred to as well are free, at least from some universities that I'm aware. So don't think about
friendship free. It's free.
Friendship should be free.
Okay. Yeah.
You're not paying us, right?
You should be willing to give your time to, because if you stay in your lab, how are you going to create friendships?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so you need to go out. You need to invest in friendship as well.
Right.
Yes, just
that
like
is the price you have to pay.
Yeah.
that's the currency.
True.
Yeah, that's the currency for friendship.
Yeah.
Time. You have to nourish any relationship that you have.
You mentioned
Yeah,
something
great.
important, Jimmy,
my God.
and is knowing when to not only look for help, but also know that everyone goes through this. And we are saying that everyone goes through this, but it's not to minimize what you may feel right now.
Right.
Because it's
That's
not
not
saying
our
like
intention.
when you talk to an older person and it's like, oh, I went through it. It was
Ah.
good.
Yeah, that's not the intention.
No.
That is not our intention. It's
Yeah.
more like for you to sort of find ways to identify why you self-doubting yourself and try to tackle each of them. If it is either because you cannot communicate your ideas well, if it is because you don't have realistic expectations, if maybe your relationship with your advisor is affecting your self-esteem, your experiments are failing. We're just giving some examples that can help you sort of find ways to seek for help or try to solve those issues. But at the same time, just know, again, as Elijah said, you are worthy of being here, right? So just remind yourself that whatever it is that you do in your lab research or professional development, you should understand again, you are gonna get better and better and better as you go through it. And you should recognize when to pay attention to something and when to don't give it importance. Because sometimes we just charge with many, many negative things and we forget to see the bright side of things.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Know when to switch back to the bright side. Because life is like that. Sometimes it will be bad and sometimes it will be good. But try to give more importance to the bad and some importance to the
Less important.
Ah!
Less important to the bad.
Less importance to the bad, more importance to the good. But if it's something in the bad that you can improve, also take that as a way to help you get a better version of yourself.
Right. I very quickly, I think what Paula said at the end is key, because in order for you to grow, you have to learn how to receive feedback, and feedback is not always going to be good. In many cases, it's bad when you're starting. So we don't want you to confound the two elements as to every single thing that I hear is bad. It doesn't necessarily mean then that everybody else is just trying to get you or attack you. Maybe there are some things that you should change, rather than looking at others being the source of the problem. So I think always look for from you that's the first spot that you should start looking into when something seems grim or gloomy, and so that then later you can say, okay, I did all I could, that is in my power, then certainly I'm improving, I'm doing all of this, then the problem is not only me, and that then you move. And I say that because when you're feeling bad, it's easy to fall in the trap of thinking that is the others who are trying to attack me, rather than me accepting there are certain things that I could improve and should change.
Yes, you're right. And sometimes it's even a mix of both. I feel like so you really need to improve in some areas, and your respond, like it has been said, attitude matters. Your respond to these things. Some of it, like Jimmy mentioned previously, you don't have control over. You don't have control over your advisor, but you can control how you respond, to this thing.
Right.
Do you guys think that an advice, if you started your PhD or master, then good.
Congratulations.
If you are about to apply for master and grad school or
think
PhD,
about it. I'm just kidding.
think about
Think
it
twice.
is this what you want to do? No, I think it would be important to also talk to your advisor prior to apply with him.
Oh, if there's a chance.
If there's a chance.
If there's a
sometimes.
chance, students from the States that will go to the universities and talk to them, they will talk to their students too, to see if the work style fits with them. It is a 2 to 5 to 6 year commitment. This person is going to be with you in the lows and highs. So it's as important as choosing the person you want to marry. It can make a big difference from your grad school. So if you haven't started, just think about like having a chance maybe to chat with them and chat with their students, just to see that everyone sort of can be aligned with what you want to do in the future and aligned with your work style, because that can affect how the experience is.
Right. Maybe that's getting a little bit beyond the topic. So it's a little digression, small digression.
But that can help.
But yeah, certainly. And I say that because, as Paula said very quickly, prospective students in the U.S., they have the opportunity to visit campuses, right? They don't apply to only one school, as you may do it too. And when they visited the campus, or they have a chance to talk to the professors, then they, as Paula said, clearly they will have a chance to really see, well, where's going to be my second house for this period. Unfortunately, many of us don't have that chance.
Internationals don't have that opportunity. Yeah.
But if there is some sort of opportunity to at least talk to your advisor, some of the group members via Zoom, perhaps, then certainly that would help you decide.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Okay. Just before we go, I don't know if you guys have any. We really touched on
tons of things.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I guess quickly just to say that self-doubt, anxiety, small doses, they're great. They're good. They keep you going. that it doesn't mean that you have to feel that way all the time to be productive. So that if you feel like that all the time to be able to do something, maybe it's getting to a point that is not healthy. That's when we have to overcome the rate limiting step that Elijah was talking about.
Okay, so a little bit is good to push you, right?
Right.
I think self-doubt, it's something that might be challenging for many people that are starting right now. And Jimmy said this at the beginning, which is a natural reaction to something that is new, right?
Yes. Right.
So we all fear that when we are starting something new, but be careful to what extent you are letting that take over your thoughts, right? And we have pretty much go over all the things that we think can help you. If you want more information, Elijah for sure will give more videos about this. We have been learning a lot.
See.
Any questions? Leave it in the comments.
Yeah, you can leave your questions in the comments.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe. Leave your comments in the comment section, and hopefully I can get across to these guys.
Absolutely.
Again.
We can try.
We can reply to your comments actually and get you answered.
Yeah, they are that lovely. Like you said, friendship, you need it. So
Right. Alrighty.
Ah!
all right, thank you,
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.